cracked my neck. Ugh. Get my Vaseline. Bob and weave. Cut me, Mick. All right, welcome back. Keeping it orange and blue. I'm Ryan Schroet, joined as always by Urbana's finest, Kevin Ducey. It's been an interesting last week. There's good news, there's bad news, there's in the middle news, however you like it.
But I think the most important news, Ryan, and that what everybody is ready to see and ready to talk about that tunes into Keeping It Orange and Blue is Juan Soto signs with the Mets for 15 years, $765 million.
Yeah, man, the dude's almost a billionaire. That's amazing, isn't it? And probably actually, with what he's already made career earnings, is he a billionaire?
He's definitely on the track. $51 million a year. That's just. I know we're joking about it. That's just insane amount of money.
He's not worth that. Not even close.
Good for Juan. I think he's one of the best young players in the league. I hate that he's going to the Mets, but hey, good for Juan. Whatever.
Yeah, and that's really all we're going to talk about. We're going to talk MLB trade deadline. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm glad that my big market team continues to act like a small market team.
Yeah. So again, please interactive with us as me and him are going through our 12-round battle tonight. It's going to be we're going to start off slow, as most boxers do. It might not. It kind of might be like the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight. Like we could pull a big punch, but we're just we stop like right here. All right. So thanks, Jason. Lazy. We need them 9 points out of Ben and Kylan. Yep. Thanks. Thanks. Yeah. Kai played his ass off on the defensive end. Yes, Jay began Citrus Bowl. Come on. We're going to get to that as we finish up with hoops because we usually start with football. But I think today with hoops, the game and then the preview Wisconsin, I think it's the biggest thing to talk about. And then the Citrus Bowl is huge, though. We'll finish up with the Citrus Bowl today. Illinois is playing South Carolina in Orlando. Please go if you can. South Carolina's already sold out their allotment of tickets, Kevin.
Well, it's a lot easier for them to get there.
Yeah.
I don't know what the drive from Columbia to Orlando is. It's probably 6-7 hours, but they get down there with the drive. We got to jump on a plane. So
yeah, and yes, I'll address Luke Altmyer possibly not coming back next year. What do I think? And I'll tell you what I'm hearing from people I trust. But yeah,
same. I got some info on that as well. So
yeah, so it was interesting to hear his interview about you'd think though, Kevin, and this is a teaser, and we'll get to hoops. You'd think if a guy was for sure coming back and he has no reason to leave, why wouldn't he just say, yeah, I'm really looking forward to next year's team and I'm ready to go. Instead, you heard things like, if I do come back, I think chemistry with the coaches is going to be great.
I think Luke's got like a 7 or 8 tier checklist of what he wants. And Illinois currently is missing one of those things, and we'll talk about it.
Yep.
And I imagine you're hearing probably the same thing I'm hearing. And it's not what everybody thinks it is.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to getting to that. So obviously, Illinois lost Friday night in overtime to Northwestern, 70-66, after blowing a 10-point lead midway through the second half, a 5-point lead with 2 minutes left, with the win probability of 87.7 after they called a timeout with 2 minutes left, which that gets my goat. And before we delve into bit Hummerkaus and defense, offense, all that to me is what really bothers me. And here's one of the things, Kevin. So Illinois is up 5, right, with the ball. They call a timeout. And what was the play that we saw out of the timeout?
The curl to Will Riley to shoot a 24-footer.
A 24-foot that he was fading away.
And then we foul on the rebound immediately.
And we foul an 88% free throw shooter, by the way. So you literally just gave him a layup. Okay, so win probability probably at that point went from 87.7 to probably 50 or maybe 60%, I'd say. Up 3 with a minute 50 then, right? Yeah. And then Illinois' next possession, Kasparis, I think, takes a weird contested hard jump shot, which, by the way, as much as you might say, well, that's a bad shot. Yeah, but Kasparis was hitting The hoop was.
Ain't no such thing in my book right now when that dude takes a shot. I'm just
I was
like,
about to say he was shooting into the ocean, so I wasn't really too irritated with that one.
like,
But
Greg Waddell says from Sleepers Media, he says that Kasparis has got the most shit to him that I've ever seen. And he does, dude. He's a little gangster, dude. I'm fine with it, dude.
I love when he talks his little shit, in Lithuanian.
He's got some balls, man. He is not afraid of any moment, and I love it, dude.
Yeah. So, and then of course Northwestern goes down, and I think Martinelli makes a little 5-footer with his YMCA game, and it curls around, hits every part of the rim, and goes in. And then it's a 1-point game, right, with like a minute left. Then you think, okay, you saw the C's part, right? And Kylan Boswell drives right down the lane. It's a 2-on-1, right? First off, he could have easily passed it off for an easy layup, right? But then he takes the lefty layup was available to him, and you're thinking that's probably a 90% probability you're going to make that, if not more. And of course, he misses it. And then you're thinking, we're about to lose this game. I was thinking, how did this happen?
Well, when you go to overtime, there's so many little things. I mean, Ivisic then comes down and makes 1 or 2 free throws. I mean, you got to make both there.
Yeah, you would say that. And as much as I want to be mad at him for that, he did so much that game. He does so much already.
He does, but I mean, it's just
yeah.
Will Riley misses 2 free throws. Like, that guy with his shooting ability should be a 95% free throw shooter. And he's not shooting very well from the free throw line this year. And it's little things like that when we didn't do anything right. But I also think, Ryan, you and I said this all along. We said this back in July. We said this in August. We said this in September. Like, this team is not going to be who they are in November, December. Like, this team is going to be a better team in February, March. But the other thing about this team is, right, we were so pissed off. And this is where you might have a real point here about Dre's minutes, is we were so pissed off at how Northwestern treated Terrence Shannon Jr. last year. Mm-hmm. And Northwestern, for lack of a better term, they might not be a rival, but we still hate losing to them sons of bitches, right? Like, I hate the nerds. Like, I do not like them. Who on this team, like, when you look around, like, we don't even have any dudes from Illinois.
Yeah, there's no bitterness for this.
Right, like, there's no, like.
Here's another. I'm worried about the Missouri bragging rights game too.
I don't think they give a shit either. Like, it doesn't. Like, I'm not that worried about that. I think they're a little bit of fool's gold right now. Yes, they won today. They had 20 more free throws than Kansas.
Yeah,
I
just meant like the guys really won't care about it,
Right, and where's the guy in the locker room to talk about how much this game means? Because there isn't that, and that might be a challenge. I mean, obviously, when you get to the tournaments. Yeah, later in the season, I mean, making the tournament, getting in the tournaments, that matters. But there's going to be some of that with this team that just isn't going to resonate. And if that's the way that Brad's going to continue to build this roster, that's what's going to happen.
So with Dre, what would you have liked to see maybe a little more from getting Dre to maybe play more because of the moment, the game of the
No, what happened with Dre is I thought, like, and he had 9 minutes and 3 fouls, and we, people are joking about our Twitter feud is that he didn't contribute much in any statistical category. I went back and rewatched the game because of our disagreement. We could talk about that. Like, he had 3 fouls, and I'm still waiting for one of them to be a foul. I mean,
he took the ball from Barnheiser at half court. I
felt and it's called for a foul. Like, that's a 50. And it happened to him twice. His first foul was the same way. It's a loose ball. It's out there, and then the Barnheiser layup after Ivisic just blocked his shot. Barnheiser just.
I don't think that was a foul on the Barnheiser.
He didn't touch him. Like, it's like, what are we doing? Like, so and there's also an aspect that I've talked about this a lot. Is like, I think Dre's a guy, and there's been other guys in Illinois, that if he gets a bucket to go in, all of a sudden his confidence meter goes up, and that's what you really want. Like, not like Dre lacks confidence. I freaking love that kid's attitude.
Yeah.
But if he gets one to go in, like, that really helps him. And Roger Powell was that guy. And Bill Self and Roger Powell sophomore year used to start games later in the season throwing him backdoor lobs. I was at the Michigan game in Chrysler when he started the game with a backdoor lob, and dude ended up having like 22 points. It was I think Brad needs to try to maybe figure out some ways to draw up some form. And I keep saying that. That's not Brad. That's not what he's going to do. He's just not going to do
he
that.
isn't. Yeah.
And he's a better basketball coach than I'll ever dream about being. So I can't argue with that. But it's something about if you could get Dre a bucket somehow, find a way to get him, throw him a backdoor lob. That dude can go up and get it.
Yeah, he's the most athletic dude on the team. He is.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean the fact, he can do things in the air and dunk probably better than guys 6'8" on the team. So
Brad Sturdy said it when he was here last year. Brad Sturdy's a guy on Illini guys. I sing his praises. He gets to watch practice, unlike you and I. He said that Dre Gibbs Lawhorn was the most athletic guard on the team. Outside, if Shannon's a guard, I don't know if you want. Yeah, maybe he is. But he was saying he's more athletic than Sincere Harris.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of those, like, we all know Sincere's an athletic freak. He said Dre's more athletic.
Yeah. And I know this just from knowing Dre, and he's a friend of the show. He may not be back on the show again until he's a pro, but that's for many other reasons. But it's not because he doesn't want to come on. I will say this: I still talk to his mother. She's not happy, and people can call her whatever you want. That's his mother, and she loves her son, and he doesn't want him hurting and being upset and pissed and feeling like he's not good enough. And I'm going to tell you this right now. He is feeling all those things. He is upset that he's not really getting a chance to contribute more than I think he knows himself better than we do. We know he can score. We know he can play. And I love he's a great defender, in my opinion.
He is. He's not quite
Boswell, but he is a very, very good defender. And,
we might need to look at some of those rotations. And here's where I'll agree with that is that we might need to look at some of those rotations where we can play him, Kylan, and Kasparis all at the same time. I think you can do that. I think with Kasparis' size, and you can probably hide Kasparis on the worst perimeter offensive player at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
And then you figure it out whether it's a Vicic and Hamrickhouse, Trey White, Will Riley, whatever else. I think we saw this. I asked for this. I said I want to see some Merez Vicic lineups, and we did see that. And it works pretty well.
Yeah.
Hey, it doesn't mean that Ben can't play the three in that situation. What I'm saying here is, like, I think Brad is still trying to figure. Like, we're only 8 games in. We're still trying to figure this thing out. So it's okay. My biggest point in our argument, and people want to hear about this, is that we scored 56 points. We held them to 56 points. This Illinois team, with their offensive firepower, should never lose a game giving up 56 points in overtime in regulation. They shouldn't lose a game giving up 70 points, period. This should be a team you could bookmark for 75 points as a baseline. And Ben Hamrickhouse, for everybody's frustrations with him, is the 4th best offensive player on this team, is the probably best three-point shooter on this team. Now, Kasparis is certainly moving into that category.
People were thinking he was not going to be a good shooter. I know them.
Holy crap! So it's between him, Riley, and then obviously Vicic is when he's set and can make. And dude, Vicic is freaking awesome. Love the dude. So it's one of those things. If you're not 56 points should win you the game. Like, we weren't scoring enough, so that's why my biggest thing is, like, that's why you don't take him out. And I get where people are saying, and yes, they were going at him. They were going at Kasparis. Kasparis offers more on the offensive end than Ben does.
Yeah.
But my point was, and like, if you listen to Mike Cagley's podcast on the Illini guys, he talked about it a lot. Is like, Nick Martinelli's basketball game is to just throw his body into you and let the officiating do what it wants. The officiating was dog shit the other night. It was so bad. It was just absolute atrocity. And some of the ticky-tack fouls and then physical fouls, the physical fouls that weren't called and the ticky-tack shit that was. And I think it threw a lot. This is a lot of these guys' first Big Ten game. The only guy who ever played a Big Ten game here
was Dre.
Yeah. And I think it threw some of these guys for a loop. And Dre, like, let's be real. How many minutes did that dude play in the Big Ten last year? Not many. So
yeah. And look, it's fine to rebuttal what I'm about to say. I don't want to. And I'm actually going to finish with it on some. I'm going to actually finish a little bit more on final thoughts later too, just heading into it, because I don't want anybody to think I dislike Ben Hamrickhouse, okay? Because I don't. My point of all that was a 1-game window here, where for Brad Underwood, and I made that mention, the dunce thing isn't a dunce of him as a coach as a whole. I just feel like he messed up big time in this game. And here's why. And it's okay to do that. You can be a good coach or a great coach and have a game where you just didn't have it. Just like in my opinion, I don't think Ben Hummerkaus had it defensively. He didn't have it offensively.
I haven't always had it on keeping it orange and blue. I've had bad nights.
Okay, and it's fair though to critique that. Okay, so I want to make this note for anyone who agrees with Kev and for Kev to understand that I know that we know this is that no one's perfect, right? We all make mistakes, including in basketball. But for you to critique someone, yes, Kasparis, not a great defender. Okay, obviously he does all those other things though, right? He's the butter for the bread of the team. Like he gets it rolling. You need to have him in the game because not only is he handling majority of the pressure, he's finding guys, and he could have had 10 assists in this game. I feel like there was a bunch of balls in the middle. He hit people 5 feet from the rim who could have cared less to shoot it.
Yeah.
And then he's hitting guys for 3 who were missing. So it's like the dude probably could have had 10 to 12 assists. So yes, defensively, KJ did get abused at some points during the game, correct. But he was also doing all those other things. And if you look at his stat line compared to Ben Hummerkaus' stat line, it's a lot different. So my frustration was that you can put Merez Johnson in for Ben Hummerkaus through chunks of the game when you see he's getting picked on. And if you go back and rewatch the game, there was about a 10-minute window, a big chunk of their comeback, Northwestern's comeback. They were picking on Ben Hummerkaus. I think 4 out of 5 possessions, they went right at him.
They did.
And it wasn't.
My point being is like that guy had some good open looks and he rimmed them. Like, I mean, they were there. It was just a little short, a little long. If he makes one more of those, it's we win the ball game and we're moving on. Yeah, and he made a big one late. He made a big one late.
He did. He did. I was happy, and I was thinking, you're due for it, correct? I mean,
same way as he made a big one late against Arkansas.
Yeah. Oh, he was wonderful against Arkansas. But I will say this, Fierro was doing the same shit that Northwestern was doing, just driving at him nuts, just going right at him. So my point was, and I want Kevin, and I want you to give us your take on where you think Merez can fit in more, because I can tell everybody this, okay? And I'm not saying this out of opinion. I'm telling people this because I know it's true. If his minutes don't go up, I'm telling you throughout the rest of this season, if he's a 10-minute guy, a 12-minute guy, he's not coming back next year. And I'm not saying that because I don't know, but I think. No, I'm telling you, he's not. So Ty Rodgers will not be back, all right? Tim Anderson's gone. Merez Johnson's not staying at Illinois, especially if Tomislav's coming back, right? Now, this is a trend here. Merez Johnson should be playing more. You can see Tomislav and Merez together are nice. They're very good. And for anybody that says Merez couldn't have guarded Martinelli, my ass. He's very athletic. You go back and watch the Jordan Brand game. He was able to stay in front of Cooper Flag, okay? I want everybody to know that. So anybody who thinks Merez Johnson couldn't have guarded Martinelli, you're wrong. He can. So I would have loved to seen a few more minutes out of Merez against Northwestern. And I know Kevin's argument to that is, well, we want more guys to space the floor. Well, you can also keep Merez in the paint and Tomislav up top with the ball screen action, okay? And then what happens then? Well, we got to get somebody out here on Tomislav. That leaves one-on-one down in the paint with Merez. And by the way, Merez had some big buckets doing the same action. He had an and one possibility. And yes, he's not a great free throw shooter, right? But when you're allowing a team, while we only gave up 56 points, to storm back from a 10-point deficit and cut it and tie it within 3 minutes, that was huge. It's like you gave up 56 points. But then they gave up like 14 in a matter of 4 to 6 minutes, and it was quick. And it's like sometimes for me as a coach, if I see something and I see someone and we all saw it, you see a player getting abused down there. To me, I don't care that, he might be able to make a 3 down here. Well, okay, that's 3 possessions in a row. There's 6 points. Wait a second. They just scored 8 points on this guy in 4 minutes, and he still is missing down here. Maybe we need to do a little bit of an adjustment in here to see if we can fix this, because they kept going to the well. And
yeah. But the challenge is, once again, they need to find a way to get some buckets on the other end. As we've had a very pitiful offensive game, and I hear what you're saying, and I'm not saying you're wrong. The challenge was that we were hiding our worst defender also on what was his name, 20? Is it Collins? What was it, Hollins, 20?
yeah, Mullins.
Mullins. And that I think that was KJ. And then we saw KJ, they went at him in the overtime. And so it's one of those things like Humrickhouse and KJ are probably – KJ's better. Humrickhouse is certainly the worst defender. I do think Merez needs more time. And I think, like I said before, I think you can play Merez.
You can.
And Tommy and Ben.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you could.
I think Will Riley was hyper immature in the second half.
Yes, he showed his youth, because let me tell you, the talent, the first round top 15 pick was in the first half. Here's one play that probably drove you nuts. It drove me nuts. They drew this play up for him, by the way, and it worked. For anybody that says Brad Underwood can't draw a good out of bounds play up, that's not true. Okay. So, Kevin, obviously knows that's not true. We agree about that. But so beautiful. Remember the back door to Will Riley? Instead of going up strong and just getting fouled.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm thinking, what are we doing? Like, that's what we do at the Y, like, dude, just go up. It's a Big Ten game. They probably were going to hack you and foul you. I promise you, the guy was ready just to put you at the line.
Yeah. Just go up, get fouled, and shoot. And if you make the shot, you make the shot, and you've got an and one. If not, you're shooting 2 free throws, and he's shooting 66%,
which is unacceptable. Yeah,
right.
Yep.
And then the other one was when a guy is physically moved off his pivot foot by contact from another player, it is literally the rule book's definition of a foul. It is not a travel. And that one drove me nuts because he was going to get a layup on that. And then they called it travel. And I'm like, dude, it's one of two things. It's a no call or it's a foul. It's certainly not a travel.
Are you talking about the one where he caught the ball on the
post and he was getting ready to spin on Nicholson? And then Nicholson bumped him off his spot.
Yeah.
Drug his pivot foot. That's a foul.
Yep.
That's a foul.
And here's the thing, too, about all this. Like, Brad Underwood has moved this team, and I'm okay with it. Because, if you're winning and you can the one thing that I hope all fans who are listening to this, and just anyone in particular who's an Illinois fan, when Illinois isn't making shots, there's going to be games like this. Just because, like, when you're shooting a ton of threes and you're missing free throws, right? And you're missing bunnies, you could have a 56-point effort, and you're gonna lose some of those games because if you can't convert at the line – and you can't make threes, you're not going to win just making layups. I mean, so.
And that was so frustrating. Early in the game, I was like, dude, all we're getting is layups and all they're getting is tough twos. We're going to beat the dog piss out of them in Champaign.
Yeah, we are. And the thing that maybe made me irritated a little more, and you know what? Maybe it's because it's Northwestern to a degree. But when you're up at the end of the game like that, the situational awareness of this team, I don't really like either. I think
they're young.
Yeah. And that's okay. They are, but the coaching staff has to let them know this. Like,
and I say that some tongue in cheek.
Yeah. But like when 2 minutes left, right? We're up 5. We got 20 seconds or so on the shot clock. Let's run a play here. But if it's not there and it's not a good one, let's try to find a better one. We can use a little clock here. The clock is our friend, right? I feel like all coaches should know that. And we're just jacking up some wild-ass 25-footer. I'm thinking there's no way Brad drew that up. Like, that was not it.
Right.
Like, hey, dude, come off the screen here, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, 25-foot fadeaway 3. I'm thinking that's what we got. To me, I could feel it tied right there. Because I'm like, we didn't work any clock. We didn't attack to try to get to the rim, get to the line. And yes, we struggle some. But if Kasparis gets to the rim, that dude's shooting over 80%. So,
yes.
Anyway,
that's the part I trust most of the free throw line.
Now, we can let Northwestern beat us twice. But Wisconsin coming off of 2 losses, tough losses. I mean, and this is a good Wisconsin team, but losing a close heartbreaker at home to Michigan, and then losing to your a rival in state like to Marquette, they're going to come in hungry and motivated a Tuesday night. But you know what? Illinois' got to protect home court, and you can't let Friday beat you Tuesday because you got number 1 Tennessee coming in on Saturday. Okay, we can't let Northwestern become a 3-game slide. You got to there has to be the gumption of this team to have some pride. And I know they're young, but if shots aren't falling Tuesday, then what? It's like there's got to be a way around to win these games if you can't make shots. So I still am going to pick us, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. But I still like us against Wisconsin Tuesday night, even through the lack of issue defensively at some point with some of the guys and missing shots. But I'm sure we're going to be out of the top 25 now, Kevin, because of that loss.
Maybe.
And I don't care really either way about the top 25.
The last 5 ranked teams in Evanston are 0-5. I mean, at some point in time, Purdue lost there last year. I mean, at some point in time,
I get that, but this year's Northwestern team has no boo-booey. It's don't get me wrong. I know they lost to Dayton, who's a tough team, but they got the screw. I think there was an issue with the Butler game, right? They kind of got screwed a little bit, but again, Butler's just an average team. They got their doors blown off by Houston this weekend. And
here's my point about Wisconsin.
And then Iowa, they blow the game against Iowa and get beat on a last-second 3-point. This Northwestern team, though, is not the boo-booies of the Northwestern. This team for Northwestern, I believe, is going to be in a 10-10 at best in the Big Ten, probably 9-11-ish. They're going to probably be an 18-13 type team. So I feel like this is a game you just got to hold on to it. And yes, you're going to learn from it. You got to. Otherwise, you're going to go downhill. I just felt like you had to hold on to this game. You can't blow this game. And it really does kind of shit on this week because it's like you go into that, you would have had momentum. Now you don't. And it's a must win against Wisconsin because you can't be 6-4 heading to bragging rights, and then that's a kind of a toss up in my opinion. You just can't. And it's a real possibility.
I don't think so, but yeah.
I mean, it is.
It's a possibility. I don't think so. I don't think you're going to get a 1 for 18 from 3 performance from Ben Humrickhouse, Kylan Boswell, and Will Riley ever again. 1 for 8. Will Riley was 0 of 6 from 3, and he took a couple
good looks. Yeah,
couple tough ones, dude. Like the one where Nicholson was dead in his face. But he had a couple that were wide open. Humrickhouse had a couple wide open. Boswell, a couple wide open. Boswell had 2-on-1 possession.
What's your take? We love Kylan Boswell's defense, right? Well, what's going on? What do you think he needs to do offensively just to get it going?
I don't know because the guy's a career 38% three-point shooter coming into this year, and that's 2 seasons of college basketball. It's kind of the same way I felt about DeMast. Remember DeMast?
Yeah.
First 2 months at Illinois was like a 20% three-point shooter, maybe even in the teens. And we're like, what is – I talked about the games he made, multiple threes at SIU, and I'm sorry, the basket's not any higher. The 3-point line's not even further. I just didn't get it. And Marcus missed lots of open ones early on, and then it came around.
Kylan, the only difference there is Kylan's played at the highest level already.
Right. So it's I think it rectifies itself. He's a really good. I think he's a really good shooter, and he always has been. I think it rectifies itself. I think he has some games here where he hits 4 or 5, 2 or 3. Couple games back to back.
The free throw line for him, he needs to get it together though.
Once again, he's a career 80% free throw shooter. It's just some things are just weird, right? It's just not. And I think things find their levels a little bit. I think Will Riley going over 6 is probably him finding his level that he's probably not a 45% 3-point shooter at the college level right now. I think he's probably a 38%, which is great. It's fine.
Yeah.
So. It's one of those things. I think in the Arkansas game, we had 7 guys who made threes.
Yep, we did.
7.
I would have loved to see. Tomislav take a few more in Evanston.
Yeah, I think it was a 2 of 5, 2 of 6, something like that. But we had 7 guys made threes in that game. Now, granted, one of them was Jake Davis, but and Jake got some run, but didn't get any open looks. I just don't see that. I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening at home. I think one of the things I think we should be really excited about, as much as we want to bag on it, is like, is this team pretty good defensively overall? Like, are they actually a pretty decent defensive team?
As a unit, I mean, they've been I feel like they're coming together. I mean, obviously, 77 to Arkansas is not terrible because they're going to be a
Oh, and how many of those points were at the free throw line?
yeah. Thiero is just I don't know how he gets the
It's got
Kobe.
27.
How does he get the Kobe whistle? I don't get it. I don't know. Yeah,
I
it's
don't
like
either.
you just attack the rim and it's a foul. Like that bothers me a lot.
I mean,
So
we're 17th in Keepin on defense. That's. I mean, last year's team at the end of the season were trickling into like the hundreds.
So this team is going to shoot a lot of threes. Brad doesn't like mid rangers. If you know, Trey White hit a mid range. Didn't see him take much more after that. He doesn't. He doesn't.
I talked about it before. It's not the analytics make sense. It's not a good shot, but at the same time, if you're open, take the damn shot.
Yeah, but and so me and Kev agree. You need more Merez Johnson minutes. We just do.
I think so too. I think he adds a toughness and a physicality that this team needs. So
yes, we need it, and we think Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn could use a few more as well. So that's I think he put in his time last year. He's waited, and yes, he's playing more than Jake Davis, but at the end of the day, just because a guy's got 3 fouls isn't a reason to just say you're not playing anymore. I mean,
especially when he's a guy who, like, if he fouls out, then so be it.
Yeah, so what? Like, use those 5 fouls in. Like, let him hound Barnheiser again for a little bit. We were at like 4 or 5 fouls for a long time. It wasn't like he was going to go to the line. So there's a lot of that. But anyway, Tuesday, 8 p.m. on Peacock. It's a big one. Can't start the season 0-2 in the Big Ten. They go at Oregon. Is their third game. And yes, Oregon lost a heartbreaker today to UCLA on a bank 3-point shot. With
oh my goodness, I didn't know that. I mean, I didn't pay attention to that. I was,
yeah. So Oregon had been on a roll, undefeated, right? They won the Players Era tournament. They beat Bama. They beat all these good teams out there, and that UCLA hit a banked in 3-pointer with 0.4 seconds left.
Was that in Poly Pavilion?
No, that was in Eugene.
Holy moly!
Yeah, so they're going to be a ranked team when Illinois heads up there January 2nd. But still, like, you start out 0-2, you're playing with fire because then you got Oregon third, and so then the worst team in the Big Ten, Washington, is next. Don't get me, I know that's there, but you don't want to start 0-2 and lose your first game at home to Wisconsin, and just even start this trend. I think you beat Wisconsin Tuesday, you have a lot of momentum, and I would actually feel really good and feel like, man, we can give Tennessee a game Saturday. Like, I really do. Like, Tennessee's got some good players, Lanier, Ziegler, but it's not last year's team. Dalton Connect's not there. I know Lanier's a nice player, but he ain't Dalton Connect. So
no, they're a little bit different. They are going to be a very good defensive team. They're going to be very physical. I love the fact we're getting them in Champaign. Number one in Champaign, house should be rocking on a Saturday. 4:30 in the afternoon, right?
Students should be there, I believe. Students should still be there.
Yeah, like that place is going to be. And if I'm a student, I'm finding a way to get to that game. That game should be nuts.
Well, it'll be the 14th. I'm not sure if they get out then, or they'll still be there one more week. Yeah, because Christmas is the following week. So I would hope. I'll look it up, but I sure as hell hope the Orange Crush would stay for that. That's a huge game. So. We'll get to that, and then just briefly here.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. You can say whatever.
I don't want to this Illinois team is definitely a live by the 3 team, right? And that's who they're built to be, and that's fine. But this is not a epidemic of a Brad Underwood team. The team took 23.8 3-pointers per game last year. That puts you in the 160s this year. I can't find the stats on 3-pointers attempted per game last year where it puts them, but it puts you in the hundreds, 160. There's about 335, 350. I don't know what the number is. Always changes. I think maybe 365. So it puts you in the top 50%, but it certainly doesn't put you in the top. It doesn't put you fourth like this team is now in 3-pointers attempted. But at the same time, that's who this team is. That's what the analytics say. They have a lot of good 3-point shooters. One of the things I would have liked to seen us do against Northwestern a little bit more is I would have liked, and this is kind of where maybe we meant to do it, we just didn't do it effectively enough, and maybe that's why Merez didn't play. I would have liked to see us feed Tomislav in the post. Now, I know Merez can get those garbage putbacks and get the little, make his little buckets around the rim. I don't really want to count on feeding the ball to Merez and letting him take a post player and just get a bucket. So one of the things I thought we should have done, one of the things I think we will do against Wisconsin, I think Wisconsin has struggled against the post. I think somebody recently just ate their freaking lunch in the post. Was it Michigan? I would like to see Tomislav go to work. Crowell can't guard him.
Yeah. So Michigan has a tough. Wisconsin has a tough time guarding in the paint and also covering bigs who can shoot. I watched that Marquette game. They have really good players that can take people off the bounce, and besides Tanji. So if you can limit Tanji's free throw line ability, Tanji scores tons of points at the line. And I'm sorry, he takes wild ass drives too. It's not like he's beating people off the dribble. He's literally just side by evenly attacking the glass, using pump fakes, his body, and the refs are giving him tons of free throws. Like, I don't understand that either. Like, what has he done to earn that?
Hey Ryan, this is perfect. The last day students are in session is Wednesday. Nice scheduling, man. God damn it.
Yeah. So that means the number one team in the country is coming to Champaign, and the students, a good chunk of them will be gone, but they're still local kids. And I feel like you can't have adults in the crush for this game. They're
going to, because that's not part of the student package.
Yeah, but they're just not loud. It's like that's what I don't understand. Like,
it's kind of like when we play. It's kind of like when we played Purdue on New Year's Day.
Yeah, it's like when you are in the crush. I don't care how old you are.
That was Andre Cabello welcome back game.
Yeah, that was a beautiful. And you know what? It's so sad.
Never seen again.
No, yeah, that was his last hurrah of how amazing a player he was. It's sad what's happened to him now. He's suspended indefinitely with Southern Miss, but I can tell you this. We can say this. We got his best years. We
did. We got his best year. Yeah,
we did get his best years. He helped Illinois win Big Ten titles, man. Let's see here. Okay, Caitlin. Thank you, Caitlin, for tuning in. I appreciate you. A YouTube follower and watcher. A lot of students will be there.
Maybe I looked at it wrong.
First day of finals is Friday. Okay.
I might have been looking. I just Googled it. I might have caught last year's.
Is it the next Wednesday? Maybe.
There's no the next. Then maybe.
It said the first day of finals is Friday. Then when are the next? They'll probably anyway. Thanks, Caitlin. We appreciate everybody who watches on YouTube. We're trying to get the
last day of regular classes, I guess. Okay.
So they should probably be there then. Okay.
Last day of instruction. My apologies. There's a guy. Final exams begin on Friday, so there we go. We're good. Sweet. So students should be in. Thanks, Caitlin. Appreciate you.
Awesome, because we just need that environment for it's like, please, I don't need the old hens in the crush because
I was there when we beat Wake, man. That was nuts.
Yeah. So we'll put a bow on this one. End on the 19th. Beautiful. And we're gonna get to.
We'll beat Wisconsin, Ryan. Let's just do that. I must say, right now.
Me and Kev are in agreement. We're gonna beat Wisconsin Tuesday. I feel like these guys are gonna come in motivated.
I think they're fool's gold. I don't think they're good. I think their defense is pretty suspect, and I think Illinois gigs them. I really do. So.
All right.
I think it's a 10-point win.
Okay. Will that tackle from Bama come to Illinois? You're talking about Miles McVay. We think we all hope so. I think, you know what, Priestley and Henderson are going to help to work on it. I can tell you that.
The challenge with McVay is, they're 88th in defensive efficiency, by the way, not a recipe to beat Illinois. The challenge with McVay is what is he a redshirt freshman?
I think he's either that or a redshirt sophomore, something like that.
I think, and obviously we were in on him. I think it was Illinois, Missouri, and Alabama were probably his three finalists. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Is he a left tackle, right? Which is kind of what we need because he's 6'6". I mean, he was in the 2023 class, so he's going to be 1 year at Alabama, 2 years at Alabama, right? The 2024 class played this year, yeah. So 2 years at Alabama. It's probably a redshirt freshman. I think if Illinois is going to spend a lot of portal money on the offensive line, we need a left tackle to replace J.C. Davis, right? J.C. Davis is done. Yeah, same class as Henderson. Yeah, they're buds. Can Miles McVay? Can you say you're going to spend portal money like that on that guy and be like, dude, you're our starting left tackle today, like we did with J.C. Davis?
There's another New Mexico kid in the portal now too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, J.C. Davis will go into.
He's going to be drafted. But from right now, what I love is it sounds like everyone besides Pat Bryant is in to play in this game so far.
Zakari?
Yeah, Zakari Franklin hasn't opted out.
Maybe he wants to put something on tape.
Yeah.
Gabe Yakis will be the interesting one. So if we're looking, all right, so we're just transferring to football here.
Yeah, we are. Go for it.
So if we're looking at, from Kevin's perspective, if we're looking at where I don't know that we have a ton of we can't take a portal class like 15. I don't think that's there. I think
Brett today said he wants 5 or 6 on offense and defense. So 10 to 12.
Oh, he wants 5 or 6 on both sides of the ball?
5 on both sides of the ball. Yep. You got to think about this. We've got good wide receivers, but they're still young. You need to get at least 1 or 2 solidified veterans who I think can not necessarily be the guys, but be guys that you can count on. Injuries always occur. Like, let's say, okay, you move Franklin and Brian are in the NFL. Let's just say that. All right, let's Ashton Hollins, who was hurt this year. You, Beatty, LZ, Ball, you're the top 4. Colin Dixon. Oh, well, Dixon just went down. Oh, Beatty's dinged up. It's like you just –
Ashton Hollins is hurt. Yeah, what are we going to do, right?
So it's like you need to add a couple more guys in there that you can put. Maybe 1 star and then 1 other veteran presence that can be a decent acquisition. Also, offensive line, 2 or probably a couple at least.
Yeah, I think you need 2.
And then maybe a tight end. I know Illinois might be looking at a tight end. I know you got Cole Rusk, but I've heard that, there's a possibility Boyer may leave. And you don't want to say – and Arkin's graduated, right?
Yeah. No, Arkin's back.
Arkin's – okay. So you have Arkin and Rusk. But look what happened. Rusk got hurt. Right. So you need to have – and Goda's graduated. He's gone. And we only had him for 1 year, but it was nice. I mean, think about that.
I appreciate what he did, yeah.
And then touchdown against Penn State, yeah.
Right.
So anyway, you need to have a third one you can count on. I've been told Boyer, there's a chance after the next week or 2 that he's gonna leave. So
if I'm Henry Boyer should have put on 30 pounds of middle lineman.
Yeah, you never know. He might. So it makes sense. 5 sounds about right to me. A couple receivers. They don't need running backs.
No.
Quarterbacks don't need quarterbacks.
No, especially don't need running backs when you look at what they were able to acquire in the recruiting class. In that you're gonna have, let's say we lose one of our 4 guys, right? And that's Fagan, McCray, Lawfrey, Valentine, right? You lose one of those 4, you have 3. Then you move Jordan Anderson up, and then you bring in 2 guys who are speedsters, man. Like they can play, and potentially Jerson Newton might be a running back. So it's not Jerson. It's Sean. Yeah, it's Jerson.
It's Jerson. It's Shawnee. There's a lot of.
I messed them all up. Right?
There's Jerwan Newton.
And there's Jerjon. Jerjon is Johnny.
Yes, yeah. and Shawnee, Jerson. Yeah.
So Shawnee Newton. So I don't, and we saw that Khalil Valentine could already play at this level from day 1. I think Weish and Forrester can play at day 1.
Hey, Cedric Weish. Okay, if Brett Bielema compares Cedric Weish to James White, I'll take it any day of the week.
The dude can fly, and so he could be the fastest guy on the team. But Torrey Cox's younger brother might challenge that. So you don't need running back. What you need, and here let's get into it. Luke Altmyer, what Luke Altmyer wants, from what I understand, it's not a money thing. It's not a surroundings thing. It's a surroundings thing. Is like he'd like to keep the coaching staff in place. Like Barry Lunny We maybe worried, he was a Broyles finalist. Does he get a high profile offensive coordinator job in the Southeastern Conference offered to him? South Carolina's a little bit of a worry there. They got a little bit more money. And then do we get a receiver? Right, Ryan, are you hearing the same thing? Those are two things. He wants Barry Lundy back, and he wants another receiver.
He also wants to make sure portal-wise that Illinois is doing its due diligence offensive line-wise, because he was the most sacked quarterback in the Big Ten.
Yep, and he's losing his best offensive lineman.
Yes, so he wants to see that and also keep the staff. And I think money is not a huge thing, but it is. He could probably go be Auburn. He could start at Mississippi State. He could start at Auburn. He could start at Kentucky. He'd take over Vanderbilt's job next year. I'm just saying. And he'd probably start at least one, or he would have started at Florida this year.
Right. Not now that kid they got going though.
Yeah, I'm just saying though, but he knows his value. And when you look at what's Auburn going to pay their quarterback next year?
I don't know.
What's the price to have it? So you can't just say, well, what you got paid this year is what you're getting next year. He had 21 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Okay. That's beautiful. That's efficient as hell. And I think so many teams would take that, Kevin. So you are correct. It's not just the focal point of getting paid. But when I made my tweet yesterday, it was like, hey, what's my worth to you guys? And I want to see what you're going to do to surround me here, offensive line wise. And the staff, the Lunny thing is huge. So today, Brett Bielema in a presser, and Josh Whitman spoke as well about revenue sharing, $20.5 million, Illinois, with the revenue sharing. It's going to be a lot closer playing field than what you saw this year with Ohio State, $20 million NIL money, Illinois 5. Like, it's actually going to even up the playing field to where Ohio State and Penn State and all these other teams, they're only going to be $3 or $4 million ahead of Illinois. So
yeah, and that aspect will be like, and what I understand is we're already in some conversations with a couple top receivers.
Yes,
the one guy who's already in the portal, and as of this morning, a guy who's not in the portal.
We're talking about one of the Michigan State wide receiver.
I don't know. I heard this through a friend of ours.
Okay. Yeah, we'll keep it to be determined.
He didn't name names. He's been a listener to the show. He's contributed. He's a good dude. So he just said, "Hey, listen, there's 2 guys we're in on. One's in the portal and one's coming into the portal, and they are high value targets at the wide receiver position." Guys, if you're an Illinois football fan, and if you're watching this show, the 2 things you need to look for where Illinois has to make investments, it's just on the lines, dude. We lost the only 2 defensive linemen that you could count in week in and week out, with some seniority and some. Now, listen, I think Gentle Hunt can be a good player, but
it's nice to have him though, to know he'll be there next year.
He's not T-Rod Edwards, and Isai Sledge is not there yet. He could be. He's a big dude.
Sledge is in the portal.
He left. All right.
Yeah,
I thought that was going to happen, but this happened so fast, right?
Yeah. So Sledge is in the portal. What I have liked to see though, Jeremiah Warren, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeremiah Warren has shown, and you saw some guys like Barna and
the outside linebacker. Even though we're losing our 2 critical guys, most likely, I think Yakus is going pro. Like unless they come up, like if they come up with some money for Gabe Yakus, I'm okay with that. But like I'm like Billy Moses just said, we need 3.
Yep.
Defensive
he
linemen.
Didn't say
he
said
need
5 or 6 on offense, 5 or 6 on defense. So 3 of those.
All linemen and one or 2 wide receivers.
Yeah, no. So the secondary set, I feel
like linebackers are fine.
Yeah, linebackers are fine. I think Odaluga and you saw them adding JUCO. They're going to add a couple more JUCOs as well.
Yeah. Conte can play immediately.
I love Conte. I know I had him on the show earlier in the week, dude. Conte is athletic as hell.
Daniel Brown is going to contribute next year. JoJo showed his speed out there. Malachi Hood showed speed where you can move him to outside in some certain packages and still play Rosie.
I didn't realize so Whitenack hit the portal. I knew it was coming.
Yeah, Eddie Turk, like Billy Mo said, was traveling. Eddie Turk might be.
Eddie Turk's a D-line guy that I think Illinois will. He's gonna play next year. Yeah,
he will. But at the same time, like that's a redshirt freshman, right?
Yeah.
That's Alex Bray this year. Alex Bray is a true sophomore actually this year. That's
Yeah.
Jeremiah Warren, redshirt freshman. That's Antonio McCollum, true freshman this year. They got out there and got some run.
Got to have a couple vets in there. Yeah,
I think all those guys can play. They just can't play They can't play 50% of the defensive snaps in the Big Ten right now. You
got to go get a Dennis Briggs. You know,
and it's T-Rod Edwards.
Yep.
You got to go get a seasoned guy or three.
What I love so much is seeing those posts from Dennis Briggs. You know, think about how things can work out. Think about Dennis Briggs' story. He left FSU, who was 10-3 last year, or 11-2 after they lost to FSU.
They were 13-1.
Yeah, 13-1, and they got left out of the college football playoff, right? They pretty much told him, like, hey, man, you've been a nice rotational piece for us. But look, we're moving on to bigger and better things. We got some younger guys ahead of you. You're probably not going to play as much your final year. So, it's best probably go find some place you can start, And Illinois is like, yes, thank you. Come on down. And guess what? FSU was a 1-11. Illinois, 9-3, and heading back down to Florida, where his family gets to watch his final college game in the Citrus Bowl. Man, how cool is that?
Yeah, the other guy, and Jason Ron talked about it, Xavier Scott will get some looks from the NFL. My personal opinion, I don't think he's ready. I don't think he's got enough good tape yet that says I'm going to be anything better than the 6th or 7th round. 6th or 7th round doesn't guarantee a spot. And Ryan just talked about it. When you got the kind of funds that are going on, you could spend another year at Illinois, make more money than a 6th or 7th round pick, and get some enough stuff on tape, be used in some certain different ways that can project you into being a top 4 round pick, get some guaranteed money, stuff like that. So
I'm excited Torrey Cox will be back.
Yeah, dude, I love Torrey Cox. You know that. I mean, I gave him our champagne toast in the last game. So,
so David Bludgeon. So I remember we had talked, and I did hear some line. And here's the thing about the linebacker thing. This is what it was, generally speaking, and it makes sense. Okay.
Wait, just for the clarification for anybody who's not watching the chat, is David Bludgeon asked what position's Fagan play next year? Correct.
So I need to do a better job of that for people who listen on Apple and whose brothers drive to Chicago every week. Yeah. So I had talked previously. The staff has just wisely tell a young man that they love, these major surgeries that you've had as a running back. You have another one on your hip. Your career's over, and we want you to know that. If you are built, you've been recruited as a linebacker, that you could have a longevity as a linebacker and be drafted. You're just a freak, but he wants to be a running back. And I think it's wise of them to say, like, if you'd want to transition, you can, and we would be okay with that, because your career, your health, longevity wise, means more than, you giving us one more year at Illinois to be running back. So that's all that was. And it sounds like, they're going to allow Fegan to make that decision. But from what I've been hearing as recently, the people that know that family and that situation, who, I talked to, that, running back's where he wants to be, and that as long they're going to let him decide that. So I would expect him to stay at running back. David Blood.
I know a lot of people say linebacker and stuff like that. Tight end. It's where Kevin thinks that dude could be like first round.
Hey, Tony Gonzalez or something like that, right?
Aaron Hernandez, the on field.
Yeah. Not the FX Aaron Hernandez.
That's right.
Yeah. So, all right. So we'll get to final thoughts here in a minute. But yeah, so this game, Illinois, South Carolina, Citrus Bowl. Kevin, I was a little disappointed. I wanted to play Bama, and just for that, to see Illinois playing against Bama.
Like it was 1982 all over again.
Yeah, just
Bear Bryant's last game.
Yeah, and to see the last team left out of the college football playoff against Illinois. So to see, even though Milroe's not going to play and some of their other, key contributors, but Illinois is not having Pat Bryant playing. That's a big deal. I was just loved. And that means, by the way, folks, he's going to be a for sure mid-round draft pick, in my opinion. I was told he is playing in the Reese's Senior Bowl, so he chose to play the Senior Bowl instead of this bowl game.
That's smart, though. The Senior Bowl, you get tons of scouts, not only for the game, but all week. Like you're working out with NFL guys all week long. It's a really smart move.
I love that Jordan Anderson's been working with the tight ends. That's all. That's great. He's a big dude. You don't want to waste a big physical dude like that who has some athleticism and some bursts to just be like, you're our fourth back again in year 3. It's like let's get some use out of him. I like it.
I agree with Bill Mo's standpoint. I wanted to play Bama because I think
Yep.
Bama would have been easier to beat. I think Bama would have had a little Florida State like them last year when they lost 66-0 to Georgia.
SC's tough because here's the thing.
I think that team's motivated to play.
Yeah, their quarterback Sellers is a freshman. He's going all out.
Rocket, what's his name? Probably won't play. The star running back and their
got some good.
star running probably won't play.
Yeah, so they've got 1 or 2 defensive players that are going to get drafted that may not play either.
I'm a little worried about this one thing here. Is like if J.C. Davis doesn't play, like Luke Altmyer shouldn't play. Like, dude, depending on how many that defensive line is flat out nasty. There are NFL guys all over that front. Like, I just would want to keep Luke healthy, and I wouldn't want to do that. So.
Yeah.
And by the way, the backup for Luke Altmyer, if he chooses to leave, will be Donovan Leary. If Luke Altmyer leaves, Donovan Leary stays. That's who the backup will be. And if, God forbid, Donovan Leary and Luke Altmyer leave, it's Trey Petty's team.
Yeah.
It's not Carson Boyd. Carson Boyd's not ready, won't be ready. It'd be Trey Petty. And actually, it'd be a portal guy.
I think Leary has 2
Might
years.
be Hudson Card.
I'm going to be honest with you. As much as we're, Michael Clayton will be in 26, Boyd's, Leary's going to have 2 years left after this. He'll be a redshirt junior next season. And Altmyer has a year that we're all hoping Illinois gets to the college football playoff. I think a redshirt senior Leary will be the guy, in his 5th year. And I would feel like
absolutely agree.
I feel like he would deserve it too, and I would be completely fine with it.
He threw an absolute dot in his one pass against Michigan.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So it is getting later here. We try to keep it over an hour. We're going to get to final thoughts. We'll talk more about the Illinois South Carolina Citrus Bowl.
We got a lot of lead up to it, so
there's a lot of lead up to it. So Kev, I'll give you a final thought here. No champagne toast for the Illinois game basketball. Northwest. We probably won't do toast for hoops. So we'll go for it on final thoughts.
Hey, my boy Durst, I'd be more worried about South Carolina than Bama. Just South Carolina gave Bama everything they wanted. My my final thought.
Yeah. Yep.
Illinois volleyball. By the way, Illinois basketball, something's broken with Makaira Cook, women's basketball. I don't understand what's going on with that team right now. I know Gretchen Dolan didn't play today. Like that's a really good team, but they are having the same weird off start of the season they did last year. They need to fix it quick. Women's volleyball. I love volleyball. It's actually one of my favorite sports to watch outside of the big 3, baseball, basketball, and football. They made the tournament. They lost first round game against Northern Iowa. They really stumbled down the stretch. This is a really proud program that has a history of being very, very competitive. We're in an NCAA title game a decade ago. Josh Whitman, if you're serious about, and it seems like maybe you are. I know Janet Rayfeld said she retired. I hope she got fired. I shouldn't say that. I'm sorry. Dude, Chris Tomas is run his time. Like it just is not. It is not working. This is not. You're in the premier conference in college basketball and college volleyball, and you're a middling level program with tons of resources. You are in one of the biggest states in the entire Big Ten. There's fertile recruiting ground all around you. Illinois volleyball being a middling Big Ten team, making tournaments and losing the first rounds is not acceptable. And I would like to see a change at the volleyball spot for Chris Tomas. So.
I like that you brought that up and mentioned that. It was really sad ending to the year.
They played like shit down the stretch.
They lost 4 in a row, and they were very lucky to make the tournament.
They lost to teams they should have beat, too. It was bad.
So I think one more year, Thomas, it's hard to fire a guy after he makes the NCAA tournament, but I will say this. If next year's not any better, I think there will be. Because Illinois volleyball needs to be better than a team that squeaked into the NCAA tournament. What Kevin Hambly was doing at Illinois compared to Chris Tomas is like right here. And I know Kevin Hambly, of course, is like an Olympic type level coach, but still, You just can't settle for we're just not. They're never going to get into the top 5 ever with Chris Tomas. Anyway, so my final thought is, please, if you're an Illini alum in Florida, please buy tickets. Show up, go to Orlando, enjoy this. This is Illinois for the first time since 1990. They're making the Citrus Bowl. That's a huge thing. Jeff George, of course. So 35 years. It will be 35 years. Well, it would have been 35 years, but it's actually played on New Year's Eve. So 34 in about 362 days. So something like that. But yes, if you can go, because South Carolina is already filling up their half of the stadium. You don't want 40,000 South Carolina fans and like 10 to 15 Illinois. And I know it's easier for them, Kevin. I do. But there is a huge Illinois fan. I'm sure the alumni. What do you think the alumni fan base is in Florida?
Oh, it's up there, dude.
Yeah. So there we go. And this is a big one for the program and where this program is going to. I'm finishing my final thought with what the new share is in the Big Ten, 20.5 for Illinois. Where the belief in this program. I love what I heard today from Whitman and Bielema about how the fans made a difference for this year's team. They'll never forget this team, and that to show that what we do when we show up on Saturdays can help make a difference and keep the tide and the momentum going for Illinois football. And, the excitement level is really high right now, and I don't see it changing. Brett Bielema also said that he knows what Illinois' football schedule is next year, and he knows what it's going to shape out to be, and he's even more excited about that. So stay on board with this football program. Continue to show up in Champaign. Show up for them in the Citrus Bowl, Camping World Stadium on New Year's Eve. If I could go, I would. I am so angry I cannot go. But
I'm trying to figure out a way. So
yeah, but I know there's so many Illini fans in Florida, so just you won't regret it. But yeah, I'm super excited with where the football program is and where it's going to be. So that's my final thought.
Right on.
Anything else? Anything else, big guy? Huh? Nothing. All right.
4-2 again.
Yeah, 4-2 again. Yeah. Well,
16-8.
We won't be doing another. Fade the Deuce for a couple weeks, but
57% on the year.
Make sure you change your numbers on your X account because I think they're a little old. So.
Yep, got to update it.
Yep. All right. Swap me out.
ILL.